So these are three beautiful gold trades which I took last week, and I'm going to show you how I caught these trades all the way from higher time frame to how I got my entries on the 1 minute time frame. Okay, now if you are new here and you're not subscribed, do well to hit that subscribe button. Without wasting much time, let's step onto the chart and let me show you how I caught this beautiful trades. All right, so what we're going to do right now is that we are going to use the bar replay tool and we are going to re-engineer price back to this point, and we're going to clear everything just to give you a fair idea of what I was looking at that very day. Okay, so you're going to start from the higher time frame and let me show you what I was looking at. Okay, now the first thing that we are looking at is we need to look for a trading range, like a high that created a low or a low that created a high. Very simple. Okay, so that very day, this is what I saw this break to the top with a wick and then a break to the downside. Okay, beautifully, which means we're looking at something like a push to the downside. Okay, with that being said, I need to look for areas where I think price is going to react, which is this point of interest right in here. Okay, so you're going to have this as a supply, so I'm going to look for sales within this zone. Okay, now once I have found this, the next thing to do is to go on to the intraday time frames to see what the intraday time frames is also saying. The reason is because most of the times the higher time frame can tell you a story. So in this case, we are looking at price having an intention to make a push to the downside like this. That is what the higher time frame story is saying, but the intraday can be telling a different story. So all the time I need to make sure that the intraday is aligned with the higher time frame. Okay, so in this case my intraday time frame is going to be the 15-minute time frame. Keep it super simple. Okay, now once I step onto the M15 time frame or the intraday time frame, I need to look for the same thing, a high that created a low or a low that created a high. So first things first, we can look at what the internal structure is saying just to give you a better understanding. So we have a beautiful low over here that created a high, a low that created a high, a low that created this high, and then we also have this one that has created this current one. Okay, so real quick, we can decide to look at just this low to this high over here, okay, as our trading range. Now also inside this guy, I need to look at what the internal structure is saying, because most of the times my entries are not on M15. If my entries were on M15, I would have just, taking a sell over here, put my stop loss somewhere up there, and I'm looking for it to target here. But you see, most of the times I want to make good use of whatsoever price action that is presented to me. Okay, so even if it is a small push, like let's say 100 pips, 200 pips, I can go home with some good risk to reward ratio. So in here, looking at what the internal structures are trying to tell me, I realize that this right in here is my last low that created my last high. Okay, so I need to work inside this guy. What it means is that if we don't come below this guy, we will never come to these lows over here. Okay, so at least when I get a sell from here, I can look forward to TP at this point, which is my intraday last point. Okay, so this is going to be a point of interest for my intraday. The moment we break this low, we can now look for price to drop to the downside. So now my setup is ready. Very simple. Now the reason why you're going to see that the reason why you're going to hear me tell you that my setup is ready is because I have three ways of looking for a trade, just three basic setups, and I'm going to teach you this right now. You can decide to look into it and see. So the first one is that anytime we have a high or a low taken out, in this case you are looking at an uptrend. Okay, so anytime we have a high taken out, we can look for what? A sell to the downside, like a counter trend trade to the downside. Okay, and then you see that after this break of structure, a point of interest will be left over here. So this point, when price comes into it, we can also look for what? A continuation. This is the second setup. And the third setup is anytime price breaks this point of interest, we can also look for what? A counter trend trade. That is all. So these are the three basic setups that I always work with, and every trade you see me take is centered around these three basic setups. you need to keep this in your arsenal. Go and back test it and see how things is going to change for you. Now, once I have spotted my setup, okay, I have this beautiful break to the top, or even this one over here, okay, I can now step onto the M1 time frame to look for my entries. Super simple. Now, before we step onto the M1 time frame, I just want to make this quick announcement. Now, I'll be holding this year's bootcamp on the 3rd of February. That is about less than 2 weeks from now. And I have discounted price. If you can't afford a one-on-one session with me, you might want to take advantage of this. The price is discounted for $250 US. If you are interested, just hit me in my Instagram, Wealth Empire Capital. On Telegram, it is at Wealth Empire Capital. You have to be careful of scammers, okay? And trust me, whatsoever that I'm going to be teaching in the bootcamp is the same thing that I teach in my one-on-one sessions. You're going to have access to me all the time. You're going to have access to all the trading tools that I use. Believe me, I don't show all my trading tools here. No, I keep them private, okay? So if you want to know how I catch these kinds of trades, all these beautiful lower time frame entries, you might want to take advantage of this one, okay? Now, with that being said, let's step onto the M1 and let's see how we caught the first sell from here. So on the M1 time frame, like this, how did I come in with my entries? Very simple. So I was looking at price action and what price is trying to tell me. Now, it was landing close, and also we're still inside New York, okay? So I had to look for a way to come in with my entries. So there is something that I call a magic entry, okay? Now, when I checked here, there was no magic entry for me, okay? Now, if you want to learn about this magic entry as well, you can take advantage of the bootcamp. So I needed an extra confirmation that will give me, that clue or that confidence that you should look for the trade. Everything is set because my setup was ready, all right? Now, on a normal day, you're going to realize that this was a beautiful SMC confirmation, this break to the downside. But the only problem is that I will be looking for price to come up here, okay? But price never came there, okay? And if I was paying attention, I could have gotten this beautiful sell from here. But I didn't get it, okay? So right in here, I wanted extra confirmation, like a beautiful confirmation. So it means that every SMC trader who was waiting for price to come up here, you missed. But because I know that there is a particular one which you call the follow through, normally it happens when the original entry confirmation has already been done, okay? So when you miss out on the original entry confirmation, and the original entry confirmation is this one. So when you miss out on that, the second one that comes is what I call a follow through, and it's a simple 1, 2, and a 3. I've talked about this particular entry so many times. It's a very powerful entry confirmation which you can use for counter trend trades, okay? So the moment I saw this FTBOS, I call it an FTBOS, I knew that a trade was ready. So what did I do? Just set my limit beautifully here and had my stop loss for like 10 pips. That's all. This is gold we are dealing with. So please don't go and do this for 6 pips or what. Please, no, we are not here to please anybody. We are here to make money, okay? So 10 pips stop loss, beautiful entry. And then my first target is I want to see these lows cleared. That's all. That is all, okay? So I'll just be watching closely. So by 5 hour, I will take some partials. So right in here, 5 hour, you take some partials. So let's play price forward a little. And this is where our trade got tagged in nicely. We move to the downside, and then we hit our 5 hour mark. We take partials, and then we leave the rest to run. The reason why we are leaving the rest to run is, first of all, we are coming from a higher time frame POY, and then secondly, we have this last intraday POY over here, which is also in confluence with this guy. I will not mention the name. If you know the name, leave a comment in the comment section, okay? So that will be my next target right in there, okay? So let me step onto, like, let's say M15 so the price can move faster. And don't forget, the day was almost closing. You can see it was 6:30 p.m. and so once we start the Asian session like this, you just leave everything. So have to look into the next day for the next opportunity, okay? So coming into the next day, which is Friday, And that brings us to our second trade. Okay, so on Friday, this is what I was looking at. Now watch something closely. On the intraday side of things, I have already determined where price is going, which is this PUY. Now, waking up the next morning, this is what I saw. Now, this is where experience comes in as well, okay? We have this beautiful break to the downside, like this. So on a normal day, every SMC trader is going to have this point of interest here marked. Not just that, but if you watch closely, you are going to realize that price made a push to the downside after breaking this guy, made this, and broke to the top. Okay, like this, giving people the notion that price wants to do what? Move from here to the top before coming back down. So this is where SMC traders are caught in the net. Why? Because they are looking forward to take a trade from here. I told you that Asian session highs and lows, they are not areas to mostly look for trades. No, there are days that they are going to hold. Fine, but it is just 20% chance. Okay, if you are taking like 10 trades, only 2 of them will have the Asian high or Asian low holding to make a push to the downside, and I'll show you one of them. Okay, so right in here, I knew that people were going to look for trades to the top first, but I had a different thing, a different outlook, because I know that the higher time frame direction is always stronger than the lower time frames. I decided to look for my trades where you guys already know, the middle of the Asian session. I have talked about this. I have a video on this mid-Asian stuff. Okay, so we have 2 ways to look for your trades. The first one is that we can have price come to the middle of the Asian session and then we look for sales, or we have price induce the Asian high nicely, then we can have also another trade. Okay, so that should tell you that it is not always that price will come into a PUY. No, so that is how sometimes SMC traders miss out on these beautiful entries, because they are waiting for price to come higher. No, it is not every day that it will do that. Okay, so I had my eyes on these 2 areas: Asian high inducement, then we drop, and then the mid Asia over here. Okay, now one thing that I also saw is that you can see there is this guy over here, which I mostly call an indecision candle, but if you look at where it is sitting, it is not in confluence with the mid Asia like that. But I always know what I'm looking for. Okay, so in here I have something that I call the hidden PUY, which is just like this guy over here when you go to the lower time frames. All right, so right in here, let's step onto lower time frames. Let's see what price did over there. So let's go to M1 nicely, and let's see what price did. Now guess what? When people come onto the charts, okay, when people come onto the chart, they are going to see this guy, a break to the top. You can see that like liquidity grabbed, and then price coming here to mitigate. This is where timing comes in. Okay, so timing is an element. So guess what? SMC traders, they are going to say, oh, we've broken to the downside, liquidity has been grabbed, and so let me take this entry from here and put my stop loss there. It's not your friend. Timing is not in your favor. Okay, so what happened? Price makes a push like this. Oh, the trade is going to play out, the trade is going to play out. Before you realize, we've come for you nicely. Okay, because timing wasn't in your favor. Now what has happened? Any SMC trader who was looking for it to sell from there, you got taken out. Unless you are doing 1:2 or 1:3, then you are safe. But apart from that, you got taken out. Okay, now once I know that every SMC trader has been taken out, it is now time for me to look for my entry. Okay, and now timing is in my favor. Why? Because the Frankfurt session has now started. Okay, so I need to look for my entry. Now looking at this guy over here, this doesn't look like an entry confirmation. No way. Okay, so I need to wait for a proper entry confirmation. So let's play price forward a little. Now this is where you need to pay attention to details. The first entry we got over here, you guys remember I said it was called a follow through. Can you see how this guy was made? 1, 2, 3, and then we came back. Please, can you see anything similar over here? Because right now timing is in my favor. We've come to mid-Asia and we have induced the mid-Asia. Not just that, we are aware that SMC was also taken out here. Okay, Now, can you see anything different here? This is where you need to pay attention to the details. You see, we had 1, a 2, and a 3. We can clearly see that this candle over here went below this wick. Very simple. Okay, so once I see this, I know everything is ready, timing, everything is in my favor. So what do? I can set my limit right in there like this, have my stop loss 10. That is all. All right, 10 pip stop loss nicely. Okay, and I actually had my entry a little bit lower because I know what the lower time frames can do. Okay, so I had it like this so that I can get tagged in. You know, no matter the account you are using, I mostly use a raw spread account, so there is no spread. But when it comes to gold, no matter the account you are using, there is spread. Okay, so I needed to make sure that I have accounted for spreads. Very nice. So this was my second entry on that gold trade, and this is how I got tagged in. Very, very nice. And my target once again is to the same area, the POI that we marked from here. So this is also another 10R. Okay, and just as always, 5R, you take partials, you leave the rest to run. Very, very simple. So price went down. Let me step onto again M5 or M15 so that price can move very quickly. So you realize how we are floating. I mean, very, very nice. You don't need to struggle. Okay, then boom, we hit our TP. The beautiful thing is that I had other trades, but I'm not going to talk about them. I had a beautiful buy from here, okay, which I used a magic entry to catch nicely. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it, no. And then we had this one as well. I had also another sell from here like this. I think I showed it on my Instagram page, but I got taken out with this beautiful wick. Okay, this wick took me out nicely before, you know, price moved to the downside. It was very, very painful anyway, but we should let that go. Okay, so that was also another entry over there, and then I also had another entry before the third trade. Now this is a typical example from here. Okay, we had a scenario where in here, this was Asian high. You realize that we never took out the Asian high. So on M1, I came in with this trade, but I had to go out. Okay, I stepped out of the trade because I realized that I was going against my trading plan. Okay, so in here there was a beautiful magic entry here. Okay, and I took the sell as well. I took the sell like this. It was a beautiful, beautiful magic entry, 10 pip stop loss. Okay, and I was looking for it to come down, but because I realized that it wasn't in confluence with my system, I had to step out. The reason is because if you watch here, the Asian high was not taken out yet. You can see that. Okay, so the Asian high was still being respected, and so I didn't want any trouble of that sort. Okay, so I had to just go out. Okay, so I think price moved a little bit, like from here, something like that, and I just went out. All right, now after I had gone out, I needed extra confirmation for me to get my entry. That's all. Okay, so I needed an extra confirmation to get an entry, so I waited. Now let me clear this one because it wasn't a complete trade for me, so I needed extra confirmation. Now the first thing that I saw was this guy, 1 2, and I was waiting for that same comeback, follow through, but you can see that we never came back there. Okay, so I was just watching closely again. Let's play price forward a little, and then now what do we have? We have price that has come into this guy. See that we have a POI. On a normal day, everybody is going to buy from here. They are not wrong at all. Why? Liquidity has been grabbed. This one over here. Okay, liquidity built up, POI, everything is super simple, okay, and clean, so they can go for the trade. Okay, so real quick, let's look at how you could have gotten a buy. So after we tap into this guy, all what you need is a confirmation. Okay, and this is the confirmation right in here. So we can see we tap in and then we broke to the top. Okay, like this, nicely broke to the downside, broke to the top. This is a simple SMC confirmation. Okay, so if you wanted to take this buy, you could have taken it like this. Stop loss goes there, another 10 pips, and then you'll be looking forward to come up like this. Okay, so this is how I would have taken it, but the truth is that I never took this buy. Okay, so real quick, let's see, boom, and then the trade gets tagged in. But like I said, I never took this buy. I'm just showing you. Now this is one reason why I always tell people that when you take a trade, you shouldn't just, you know, put off your screens and go and sleep because you feel like when you are behind the chat you are going to do some things. No, it is not a good thing to do. You need to master your psychology. Focus, watch what price is trying to tell you, because sometimes price will tell you a story along the way, okay, and you need to be there to make a decision. Do you understand? So real quick, this is what I saw. First things first, I don't know if you guys can see this. We had a break to the top, okay, and then we've also had another break to the top. Watch what price is doing. We've got a beautiful entry and we are moving. We've broken, that is 1, and then we have broken 2. Now watch what the candles are saying. In here we have this low over here which created the last high. This is the last low. What does the last low have? You realize that this last low over here, together with this guy, they have formed liquidity. Not just that, we are reacting from where? People call this a fair value gap. Not just that, if you look at the lower time frames, pay attention to the details. We broke here and then we broke here. What is it trying to tell you? It is trying to tell you that if we tap into this guy and we are coming back down, there is a higher tendency that this guy will break. And the moment this guy breaks, the story has changed. Okay, the moment it breaks, the story has changed. And this is what we call a redistribution. It is a kind of Wyckoff called a redistribution. Redistribution is simply price accumulating to buy, which is what happened over here. And then along the line, you're going to have price giving you a sell story. Very, very simple. So look at this. Because I wasn't so sure, I will not jump in here. I always wait for what? Extra confirmation when I'm not so sure about what I'm doing. Okay, so real quick, let's play price forward and let's see. What do we see? Price comes in here, okay, trying to still respect this guy. And then we came in here on a normal day. After this movement, when we tap into this guy, we are supposed to go ahead and break. Okay, but you realize that price came back and made that tapping. What happened? We didn't break, we pushed down. This is where the danger begins to print, but people are not so, you know, how do you call it, focused. They are not looking at whatever price is doing. What happens? We went ahead and then we made a break. Boom. All right, now this break is what will tell you that price is going to mess people up, because the moment we break like this, a different story is happening. So what do we see again? You guys can see all the 3 entries. The first 2 entries that I took, the entry was a simple 1, 2, and 3. What is happening here? 1, 2, 3. What do we have? Liquidity. Very, very simple. So what do I do? Just come in, set my limit right in here, stop loss 10. Okay, don't struggle, but that is all. And then what happens? Price comes in, tags me in. That is my second entry. So anybody who took this buy, you are not wrong. The only thing was that you failed to look at what price is saying, which is a beautiful Wyckoff redistribution. Now even if you didn't see anything, the moment this guy, okay, got broken, you should know that the story has changed. All right, and so we come back, we made that beautiful tapping right in there. I always show you, I think I mentioned to you why I don't enter right in here when it comes to gold. It's simply because of spread. Okay, I need to factor in spread, so that is why I put it right there. Okay, like in the middle of the fair value gap. Okay, just to factor in spread. So that's my third trade, nicely for that sell. And then where are we targeting? Same area. The only difference is that in here we have liquidity, okay, built. So that is going to be my target, and that was my third trade. Super simple. Okay, normally I don't like this kind of figure, so I mostly round it up to like 10. So that's my target, 10R. Very simple. Okay, and then what happened? Let's step on to, like, let's say M5, and we had price making a beautiful move to the downside, hitting our target nicely. Okay, so this is how I caught all these beautiful trades that you see on your screen. Very simple. You don't need to stress yourself. Okay, I hope you found value in this video. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, leave a like and a comment in the comment section. Cheers.